All right, everyone. The sheer level of media dishonesty has grown to staggering proportions. Yesterday, with the Jackson Magnolia story, what you saw was basically that if you read the titles of articles about it, it's like Trump orders Jackson Magnolia to be removed. Basically, oh, evil Trump is having wonderful, splendid, huge tree removed from White House because he has no respect. Basically, the intonation is Trump is irreverent when it comes to nationally important symbolism, I guess. Then you find out if you actually bothered to look at the story from more than one fucking source. You found number one, the Jackson Magnolia is not being 100% removed. It's being cut back significantly because a large portion of it is bent over. It's beginning to rot. It's being held up basically by ropes and rubber wedges. It's going to look like shit in a few years, and what that'll do is kill off the rest of the tree. Are there other magnolias there, potentially to get, infected as well? I had a magnolia tree actually on the side. Unfortunately, that had to be cut down. It got scale insects or fungus or something on it. Terribly. It was like the most disgusting thing ever, and then the sap was like dripping out of these like sores or fungus or something. You wouldn't believe how many yellow jackets were on that tree. It was like an army. You couldn't even get near it. It was like we had our own Air Force. Or so there was the Styx Hexan Insectoid Air Force. It was insane. Trump himself, Donald Trump, is uninvolved with this. It was Melania that signed off after the arborists that work with the White House. The people that take care of the trees and stuff, do the land, I guess the floral landscaping. They recommended significantly cutting back the tree because it's diseased. And by the way, it's been diseased since the Bush era. Some people acted like it was some sort of religious thing, like Trump arrives and things start rotting and dying and they're just not as good as they used to be. It's like they're talking about, oh, don't worry, America will prevail through this dark age period in our history. Yeah, I think if we survived the shit that we went through for the last two presidencies, don't worry, Trump will do just fine. Your wallet will do fine too, so stop being so friggin' concerned about everything he does. Look, all he has to do is wave, and people think it's a Sieg Heil, and he says hello, and they assume that he's about to attack them and take their liberty or something. Give him a chance to actually do something shifty or dubious, and then you can complain. So far, he's pretty high on the list of people who are relatively scandal-free for the first year. And is actually attempting to make a concerted effort to do some of the things he said he wanted to do. ACA aside, but I think the Republicans at large fumbled that one. They wanted people just to read the title and think that Trump had ordered the tree to be removed. And by the way, the same people that have a big problem with Trump and are, clickbaiting on this, don't you consider Andrew Jackson to be a terribly hateful person? Like by their standards, he's like, oh, he was a bigot, and they don't even like it when Trump compared himself to Andrew Jackson, or said, well, yeah, Lincoln was the best president, Andrew Jackson's a close second. Then they were talking about, oh, yeah, he was a bigot, and he like dueled people, he's a womanizer, a drunk, and he used to tear up taverns. He was the original party boy. I think that. Dude, wasn't he 6'3", or something? Back then, that was really tall. That was even more freakish than, Lincoln was in his age. People back then, the average height for a male was, 5'3", 5'4"? He was a giant. He'd fucking rip you limb to limb. And sometimes he did. He killed several people in a non-military capacity, no less. And then he got I think a 200-pound cheese wheel at one point, and then he invited everyone in the area to come help eat it after his wife complained. It started to smell because it was a hot summer. It starts doing cheese things, and I guess it was so unpleasant. It took 100 years for the cheese smell to actually, be removed from the particular room it was in. They had a cheese party, and he was drafting pirates and escaped slaves and stuff to fight, and he was a badass. But don't they hate Andrew Jackson? I'm pretty sure that he's one of the people, the media was raking his legacy over the coals. So see, Trump is having a monument to hate and bigotry removed from the White House grounds. You should be thankful. You should be very happy Because, you know, God forbid we should have a tree planted in memory of some dude's wife, and the dude wasn't a stellar character by modern standards. Someone 200 years ago did something that by modern standards is considered, you know, bad or evil or something. So we've got to remove all memory that they ever existed. It's basically, you know, the moral panic lynch mob mentality of the day anyway. So why would you care? I would think you'd want to get rid of the racist tree, you know? Fuck the tree, basically. That should be their mentality. But I mean, it's not even being gotten rid of. By the way, there are clonal lines of this tree all over the world. Cuttings have been taken from it for over a century and planted all over the place. There are others in the U.S., they're in other countries. Don't worry too much. If the tree has to be ripped completely out of the ground, a sapling can be put in its place. Maybe one of our allies that we've given a sapling to, and now they've got a Jackson Magnolia, they can, you know, send now a sapling back to us. Isn't that great? You know, diplomatic maneuvering. Melania can do that too. Maybe she likes trees and flowers and stuff. Well, she studied architecture, so she probably knows quite a bit about design. Unfortunately, Melania has been a pretty silent first lady. That's actually too bad because she's definitely, she's very well spoken actually. Some people were trying to attack her. Oh, she can barely speak English. It's like, yeah, she speaks at least half fluently in, I think, 5 different languages. You'll excuse her if occasionally she uses the wrong word. Not a big problem. And by the way, like if Michelle Obama, you know, said the wrong word in Spanish and someone called it out, you'd have such a big problem with it. Ooh, sexism, evil, you're such a misogynist. But Melania, I don't know whether it's because she's white or because her husband is Donald Trump, or because she's an immigrant from a European nation. I don't know which one of these things it is, but a lot of people seem to have a really big problem with her. Even the legacy media had to tell people to back off of her, and Barron Trump too. Like, remember, who was it there that was like, oh, Barron looks autistic? And they're like, come on, he's a little kid. You're always talking about how, like, you know, Malia Obama's like she should be left alone, and she should. She's not a politician. She's never held an elected office. She's a fucking college kid. Or the Bush twins. You know, George W.'s daughters. They're not responsible for their father's genocide. They were probably unwilling captives in the White House anyway while they were there. They're like, oh, this is so boring. You know, Dick Cheney's always trying to take us turkey hunting. We know better than that, and he shoots people in the ass on a habitual basis, and then he has little kids shot overseas. So yeah, I think we'll avoid that hunting job. I'm sick, Mr. Cheney. You'll have to wait till next year. It's the way it was. You know, the Jackson Magnolia is being removed. Evil Donald, you know, 2 scoops of tree root. Yeah, that's not exactly what happened, but if you read just the title of these articles, you would have thought that Trump said, oh, I hate trees. I'm going to put up a golden statue of myself in the White House lawn, so this tree has to go. History? Who cares about history? I'm so ignorant, I don't know anything about it. They honestly think this. You know, Trump, he's totally ignorant of everything. Yeah, he successfully brands himself for 40 years, makes billions of dollars, owns, you know, what, 100 skyscrapers or some shit. He knows nothing about foreign cultures, nothing about U.S. history. He's just a total bigoted, ignorant hack. That's all he is. He was handed everything on a silver platter. That's how it worked. They actually believe this shit. It's so funny. It's because there are actually people who take that seriously. I mean, it's insane. But no, the tree will be fine. There are saplings of, look, if what's left rots too, and it probably will, I think it'll probably get disease in it somehow. If it does, we can just put another sapling in. You'll have to wait 100 years for it to be a big, beautiful, huge tree, but then we can call it the Trump Magnolia. And then it'll become historic, and nobody's ever allowed to take so much as 1 leaf off of it because it'll be part of U.S. history. Oh wait, by then you'll probably have removed it, if we even survive as a country another 100 years. Maybe in 100 years the Jackson Magnolia will have become sentient due to high radiation levels in the wake of a nuclear war, and it'll be the most, the largest and most powerful being in the DC area, and it'll lumber around on its roots like legs. And they'll be like Mirelurk queens, and it'll bash the Mirelurks with its branches, rip them apart, and then soak its roots in the entrails and, you know, absorb their radioactive powers. And then it'll have to go fight Godzilla, and probably King Kong, and, you know, Mothra, which was the shittiest, shittiest one ever. Giant moth, it's so intimidating. Oh, that's right, moths don't like fire very much. That's about all. Peace out.